This first DIY is a decoration and it's literally so simple, but something I feel like we overlook a lot of time. This is just a simple letterboard and I took the title of their recent album and put it on here, but you could put some of your favorite lyrics or some of your favorite jokes and set it up in your room as a decoration. This next DIY is going to be a concert countdown. So since I'm doing an ombre effect and I won't be able to do multiple layers for these blocks, I decided to do a layer of white paint first so that the colors stood out a little bit more. If you aren't doing this ombre effect like I'm doing, you can just paint multiple layers of the color you choose and it should be fine. You have to be a bit patient because you have to wait while the sides dry to be able to do the sixth side. Other ideas for covering these blocks are spray paint, felt, or paper cut out. A tip for you guys is to put saran wrap over the paint while you wait for the blocks to dry so that you don't waste any paint. The ombre effect that I decided to do was I painted 2 blocks, one solid color. And then before that color dried all of the way, I took the second color that I wanted to paint with it and I put that lightly over the top. The next step in the BTS DIY concert countdown is to take a Sharpie, some paint, stickers, whatever you choose, and put numbers on the side of the blocks. You can just Google or Pinterest DIY block calendars and it'll give you instructions on what numbers to put on which sides. How you decide to set up your calendar is up to you, but I took an old shoebox, cut it to size, and then painted it this similar ombre effect. I then lined up my blocks so that I could put dashes across the top where I want to write the words months, weeks, and days. Of course, if you feel comfortable freehanding this, by all means, you go Glen Coco. Then I went ahead and filled in these lines, and then I'm going to go ahead and attempt penmanship and write the words months, weeks, and days. I went ahead and did it with my pencil first because the great thing about it was after I went over it with my Sharpie, I could just go back and erase the pencil. I created this label on my computer and then printed it out, but you could totally freehand this, write it on a sheet of paper, whatever you feel like doing. Then I cut it down to size and just literally taped it onto here, and my concert countdown was done.
Say la 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 la, say la 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 la. Switch it up, burn it up. 불타오르네.
For this next DIY, you're going to need a cap, preferably purple, black thread, needle, scissors. So I took my pencil and I Googled I purple you in Korean and went ahead and lightly sketched that onto the front of my cap. Of course, you can do this in English too if you want, but I am learning Korean right now, so I thought it would be really fun to do it in Korean. Of course, you can also use a different color cap and use purple thread, but this is based on Taeyoung Sang, I Purple You, which I think is so cute. I just love how ARRRRRMMMMYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYYY have taken it and made it something real. It's literally in the Urban Dictionary. I went ahead and threaded the needle, made it double strength and knotted the end, and then I just went ahead and sewed on the letters that I traced onto the cap. Another idea for those of you who either don't like to sew or don't know how is you can use puff paint. When you're done sewing it, be sure that you knot it really well in the back, especially if you plan on wearing this a lot because you'll be taking it on and off. And I like to take some lines that I sewed in the back, go through that, and knot it each time. Do that 2 or 3 times and then knot it again and you should be solid.
When you say that you love me, 난 하늘 위를 걷네. 영원히 말해줘 just one more time. When you say that you love me, 난 그 한마디면 돼. 변하지 않는다고 just one more time.
For the BT21 keychains, you're just going to need printouts of whichever keychains you want to make and then cut them out to the size that you want your keychain to actually be. Next, take felt of the color of your BT21 character that you choose to do. I recommend folding it in half because you only have to cut it out once, and then that way both cutouts that you make are going to be equal size. I do recommend when tracing to trace about 1/4 of an inch away because you'll see in a little bit you're going to need to cut out all of the black little edges. So by the time you do cut it out, it will still be the exact same size of the printout that you make, and it'll be the exact size that you want your keychain to be. Once you're done cutting out those little fuzzies, we're going to go ahead and cut out the extremities or the facial features of the BT21 characters. Now I'm extra and I like them to be really precise, so I went ahead and cut out the facial features from the printout. That way the proportions would be similar. Then I went ahead and cut them out and glued them onto the faces of the keychains. For those features that were just a little too hard to cut out and glue, I went ahead and used puff paint, which made the job so much more precise and easier than cutting it out and gluing it with felt. I do recommend keeping those printouts nearby and handy and not throwing them away yet. That way you can reference them while you're doing these facial features. Be sure to set them aside and let them dry before going on to this next step. For the actual physical keychain, you can go ahead and take some twine or yarn or chain and loop it through a keyring and then go ahead and knot that really snugly. I chose to use twine because it's really strong and I know that I'm going to be swinging this around on my keychain or my purse, so I just needed it to be really sturdy. After you're done with that, you're going to open up your felt and glue the keychain inside of the two pieces. Be sure and let that dry really well before we move on to the next part of gluing the two pieces together. If you move on too quickly, then the pieces will glue themselves together. Whenever you do glue the two sides of the felt together, be sure you do it about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. That way, whenever you press them together, the glue does not seep outside of the edges. And be sure that you leave about 1 inch of an opening left so that you can stuff the pieces. But before you do that, be sure that the glue is really well set, or else it will open once you stuff it. And next is stuffing your keychain. Be sure and stuff it to as full as you want. Sometimes they're really cute flat, sometimes they're really cute if you put a lot of puffy stuffing like Chim Chim, and then just glue the opening closed. Again, make sure that it is set really well, or else the stuffing will try and pry it open.
내 피땀눈물 내 마지막 춤을 다 가져가